Your next reading is Financial Statement Analysis Applications. This is the last reading in your Financial Reporting and Analysis. These are the specific LOSs, just 5. Let us just briefly discuss these. First one says, evaluate a company's past financial performance. Of course, we have learned the ratio analysis, using ratio analysis, and explain how a company's strategy is reflected in the past financial performance. Trend in ratios. How the profitability is varying over the period. Gross margins, net margins, liquidities, leverage ratios, solvencies, interest coverage, etc. So this can help us assess the company's strategy. Like for example, gross profit to operating profit ratio, it will be higher with higher operating cost like research and development. What exactly does it mean? Let's say you earned a gross profit of $100,000. That's in the numerator. But your operating profit is just $5,000, giving you 2,000% or whatever you want to call it. Means what happened? Where did the money go? Where did the profit go? From $100,000 to just $5,000, $95,000 has been taken away. Where? Operating cost, research and development, so on and so forth. So the gap between your operating and gross profit could represent a larger operating cost structure or probably research and development. Higher profit margins could be attained by cost cutting, and this cost could be cut in operating level, marketing, distribution, or maybe the cost of goods sold or cost of manufacturing through reducing your direct material, direct labor, variable overheads, fixed overheads. That's the manufacturing cost. Or reduction is in the marketing and distribution cost, administrative and general cost. So the cost cutting at manufacturing or trading level will affect your gross profit margins, and reduction of cost and the operating level will increase your operating and net margins. So this could result improving your EPS. So by studying the ratios, this cost structure over the period, we can assess how the company and what is intending to achieve through its changing strategy. Next says, forecast company's future net income and cash flow. Forecast of future net income and cash flows, the basis in constructing the pro forma financial statement. Those who have done CMA, they know, if you need to build up your pro forma financial statements, the starting point is sales. It all starts with sales. When the sales are estimated, it would help us to estimate our projected CGS, projected ending inventory, projected administrative and general costs, projected selling and distribution cost, and all could be laid down starting with sales, called top-down approach. So how do we start? It could be as simple as this. Projected sales for a firm can be calculated this way. Let's say my company holds 30% share in the market, right? Projected industry sale. If the projected industry sale is, let's say, $100 million, it means since I hold 30% of the market, so my sale is expected to be 30 million. Now that's the starting point. Sale is the starting point upon which the complete structure of pro forma financial statement is built. So this could be as simple as this, or more detailed analysis could be made where individual revenue targets of each segment, each division can be added up to give you the total sales figure, and then things can be extended to that point. So it could be a simple forecast using historical averages, using trends. If sale is increasing 5% to 8% every year, so we can extrapolate this graph and can get an idea what is the likely sales in the future. It could be as simple as this, using historical averages or trends. Or it could be a complex forecasting where each element of your income statement, each element of your balance sheet is estimated separately based upon some assumption. And these are the assumptions that could swing your pro forma financial statement from one direction into a completely different direction. And a lot of manipulation is done. We were there, we did these, and of course you will be doing in your, so whatever the management asks you, you have to do it. So depending upon the needs for the forecast could be simple one. If the time constraint, the cost is less, but if you have enough resources and more skilled people, more data at your disposal, so you can construct a complex forecast, incorporating assumption for each element in the income statement and balance sheet. For cash flows, we need assumptions. Inflows from operating, financing and investing will come from which areas, by disposal of what assets, by issuing shares and issuing bonds, and outflows will relate to which specific use. So these needs assumptions for inflows and outflows both. Next it says, did we miss anything? No, we did not. Next, your third LOS says, describe role of financial statements in assessing the credit quality of potential debt investment. There are 3 C's of credit analysis. First, if you want to invest in some debt investment, the character. Character of whom? The character of the directors and managers of the company whose debt you are going to invest in. Management's professional reputation. History of the debt repayment. Have they committed any default previously? Have they been regular? Have they been regular in the payment of interest and redemption of the bonds on due dates? This is the first step. Collateral. Is there any collateral against this debt? Collateral will reduce your risk. You are the lender, so if there is a collateral against the debt, then risk is reduced. In case if the firm doesn't pay interest on time, you have the legal remedy to go to the court of law, and if you succeed in this effort, then that collateral will be liquidated and the bondholders will be given their due. So collateral will reduce the lender's risk. And third one, capacity to repay. Can the lender repay on time? We need to closely examine the financial statements, coverage ratios, liquidity ratios, cash ratios, cash flow ratios. We were interested in the interest paying capability, and leverage can also be tested there. So this would be for your, I think we still have certain other areas. Categories considered by rating agencies. PACRA, Standard & Poor, Moody's. When they rate certain bonds, what is the criteria that is assessed, that is used to grant ratings for these debts and bonds? First, scale and diversification. If a company is well diversified, they have invested in A, B, C geographical region, D, a large range of products, wider variety of product line, greater geographical diversification in the US, in India, Pakistan, UAE. So for such organizations, risk is reduced because downside risk at some side will be offset by higher incomes on the other sides. So it's like a sine wave which is neutralized by a reverse sine wave. In other words, the gains and losses at different locations might be offset and you will get a consistent stream of returns. So scale of diversification, larger organizations, well diversified, larger product portfolio, greater geographical presence, risk would be reduced. So for such organizations, the ratings would be higher. Next, operational efficiency. Operational efficiency means how well they have been using their assets. Assets turnover, account receivable turnover, inventory turnover, greater vertical diversification. So this would result in higher ratings. Third, margin stability. It indicates a higher probability of repayment. The firm is more likely to pay the interest and the principal when they fall due. And finally, the leverage. Means if the firm has to pay $1,000 interest, earnings should be sufficient to cover the interest payment. Coverage ratios, leverage ratios, greater earnings in relation to debt and interest expenses means less credit risk. Next LOS, your LOS 4. Describe the use of financial statement analysis in screening for potential equity investment. Let's say you have a universe of investment to select from, A, B, C, D, E, F. In which equity investment you will purchase shares in? You have a large set of investments from which you need to make your selection. So portfolio stocks from large universe of equity investments are selected based upon the accounting items, profitability, gross margins, your net margins, EPS ratios we discussed in the previous slides. These are the conventional tools we'll use. Not only that, we will also use some other criteria as well. Multiple criteria are used instead of just a single measure in order to avoid some undesirable characteristics. Backtesting means using a specific set of criteria to screen historical data to determine how portfolio will perform, using past historical data to assess the performance of a portfolio. So this way we can make selection out of this universe of investments A, B, C, D, so on. So that's a simple brief overview of your LOS 4. Next, explain appropriate analysis adjustment to company's financial statements to facilitate comparison with another company. We just discussed that when you want to make comparison between two firms, you need to make sure that they are on the equal basis. Adjustments might be needed to made in company A or company B so that they can be brought on equal footings. So different accounting standards in different jurisdictions, so you have to convert one into GAAP or to IFRS, so as both must either be on IFRS or GAAP. If not, then you have to convert, right? You can only perform this if you know the differences between US GAAP and IFRS. Analyst should know the differences so that he can convert one set of financial statements into another, GAAP to IFRS or IFRS to GAAP, so that he can make a suitable comparison. Like research and development, they are treated totally differently in IFRS and US GAAP. Leases have different treatments in IFRS and GAAP. So as an analyst, you need to know these differences so that you can bring the financial statements on equal basis. And that ends your reading financial statement analysis applications.